Hello, it's Jim again. I'm a co-founder of STEMFit, and with STEMFit we look at the biomechanics of how people move, which means their techniques and how they run or jump and perform. But that's only part of what we are. There's a lot that goes on inside our body, and that's called physiology. We need a specialist to talk about that, which is a biologist. Dr. Charlie teaches the medical doctors of the future. She teaches them the biology, and that's really cool stuff and can actually help you be a better athlete as well. So over to you, Charlie.
Hi, my name's Dr. Charlie, and I've always enjoyed finding things out. When I first got my degree, it was in zoology, which is the science of animals, and I especially loved looking at the effects of parasites on their hosts. Parasites are tiny animals that live in or on our bodies and sometimes cause us harm. What I want to talk to you about today is the biology of our bodies and how it's linked to our performance when running and jumping. Learning about this can make you not only healthier, but faster too. When you're wanting to enhance your performance, there are 3 things you need to think about. Let's start with the lungs. The kids got puffed and they started to breathe more deeply and more often. The reason this occurred is that the brain knew that the muscles were working really hard, and the muscles were producing a gas called carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is really bad for our bodies, and so the brain knows that we need to get rid of it, and we do this by breathing the carbon dioxide out. When we breathe in the air around us, including another gas called oxygen. Let's look at how we get the oxygen into our bodies, the lungs. This is a model of our lungs. This bit at the bottom here is going to represent a big muscle that we call the diaphragm. The diaphragm just sits at the bottom of our ribs. This muscle, the diaphragm, along with another set of muscles, the intercostals, which sit between the ribs, will contract. As they contract, the lungs will inflate. As the diaphragm and the other muscles relax, we can see that the balloons deflate, and so do our lungs. And it's all got to do with air pressure, the amount of air pressure outside the body and the amount of air pressure that's sitting inside the cavity that houses the lungs. So contracting is going to make the balloons inflate. When the muscles relax, the air leaves the lungs and moves back out of our throat and our noses. So what do we need that oxygen for? To understand that whole concept could take you an entire semester at university, but here we're going to do the short story. Our bodies require energy, and often when we think of energy we think about eating chocolate bars, but that's not actually the type of energy that I'm talking about here. We have a molecule called adenosine triphosphate. Now you think of other things that have tri in the word, like tricycle has 3 wheels, triangle 3 sides, a tripod has 3 legs. Adenosine triphosphate has 3 phosphate groups. When you remove one of those phosphates, it actually produces energy. That's energy that our muscles can use. So how do we make this ATP? Well, that's where the oxygen comes in. To make a large amount of ATP, the body has an absolute requirement for oxygen. We need to get this ATP down to where it's needed most, into the muscles. So we have to get our oxygen from our lungs into our heart so that the heart can pump the blood around our bodies. So let's take a quick look at our heart. First of all, put your hand into a fist, put it just to the left of your chest. That's about the size and the position of your heart. Let's take a look at one of our models. So this is a model of the heart. It's about 4 times bigger than what it would be in real life, so we can see things better. The oxygen is going to come out of the lungs and is going to move into the blood vessels that are surrounding the lungs. It's then going to travel via veins to the heart. These ones here that are in red. It's going to move to the left-hand side of the heart, into this part here, which is called the atrium. From the atrium, which is up here, it's going to travel down through this valve here into this larger area. It's a chamber called the ventricle. Around the ventricle we can see that there's a lot of muscles, and on this left side there's a lot more muscle than on the right hand side. And this is really important because on the left hand side, when the heart contracts, this is going to take the blood from the left ventricle up through this particular valve and out this big artery that comes out at the top of the heart. It's then going to go down the back of the heart and down to those really big leg muscles that are important for running, the quadriceps. We've talked about the lungs and we've talked about the heart. Now we need to talk about food. There are 3 types of food that the body requires. There's proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. To use energy for the body, for using our muscles, we need to use carbohydrates. The reason for this is that the carbohydrates are easily broken down into a molecule called glucose. Now, glucose is the starting point for making ATP, while oxygen is the end point for making ATP. So eat right, sleep right, and exercise right, and you'll be enhancing your performance in no time, especially because now you know the science behind what's going on in your body.